Hey everybody, I'm going to take and do a barn today. Now this is all about composition, so I want you to take a look at what we're doing. And this is, forget the spots on the photograph, but essentially, let me see if I can, maybe I'll telephoto this thing in a little bit more so you can see what's going on here. And here's basically my barn. It's something that I shot up in New Hampshire, and you can see by the paint spats all over it. I played around with doing this stuff. Never really did anything with it, but we're going to try it today. So let's go back to putting this over here, and I'm going to sketch this or draw this in. What I'm going to do is I'm going to sketch and draw it in, and then we're going to paint it. So this is going to be a 2-week lesson. Basically, we're going to end up doing the sketching this week. We'll use the sketch as our value study so that we can work on the painting next week. And hopefully it'll work out. We'll see. So let's get started here and take a look at what this is. Now the first thing we want to do on this thing is we want to make sure that we're not dead center. So one of the things that we want is a focal point to be somewhere in the vicinity of either in the ideal quarters, that is somewhere in here, in down here, or in here. That would be ideal. The photograph actually doesn't lend itself to that, so we're going to have to play around a little bit. But I think I can make this thing work. So as we take a look at the photo that I'm working off, that's my reference material, and we don't have to stick to it exactly. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically start here, somewhere in the vicinity of about maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe a fifth of the way over, about a fifth of the way over, and I'm going to, as you know, I'm going to sketch this in lightly. Those of you that have worked with me in the past, I'm just going to sort of try to sketch this in really lightly so I can see where I'm at. And if this is, if that's my angle over there, we'll come down here, and we got some brush or foliage in this area here, foliage in this area here, and now when I say sketch it in fast, I'm doing a light pencil line just to get a feel for where I want to be. In this here, and I'm going to probably turn this a little bit, but if you take a look at it, my roof structure, my shingles are up in this area here. They come down from the end of the shingle point right here over. There's a cupola on the barn that's about right here, and it doesn't go up too high, so it's sort of right in this area right here, and it comes down below, just a little bit below where the ridge of the barn is. And if I come over, and this is just a little bit right of dead center, where the barn actually comes down, something like that. And if I can do this correctly, this area here where the shingles are, the roof barn, comes down, and it's just, the barn is just at the edge of that. So the end of the roof on the first barn is just at the end of that, and it comes across like that. Now I have a barn door that's playing around with here, and if I look at this optically, I come down, and it's about, I got some foliage in here. I've got a barn door that's sitting somewhere about in this area here. Come up, and I might be a little bit too far over here. The angle's a little bit too much, but even if it is, it's fine. You know, it's no big deal, because it's going to be, we're just roughing this in right now. And then I also have a step down for the second part of this barn that's coming over here, and this comes just a little short, a little small. It comes over about like this. Right, and this goes up a bit, it goes back, so it's up a bit more. You would step back In other words, you would step it here. Here's one step up. There's another one. That's my line, of my ground line, and I'm coming down over here. Now, interestingly enough, if that's my barn, this angle is going to be probably a little bit different. This is going to come down maybe more like that as I look at this, because you're constantly checking things as you work your way around this. I have a small fan, I guess, cooling fan that's sitting right here. And now, I was going to show you this. This is what you don't want to do. I'm going to bring this back in to a telephoto. I'm going to bring this right in so that you can see it. Now, here's what you don't want to do. You see how these trees are just coming up here and hitting the top of this barn right here? That's a no-no. You either want to go higher or lower, but you don't want the tangent point to be exactly in the same as where it leaves the barn. The top of the barn roof it ends. That's not a good thing to do. So you want to make sure that that doesn't happen in your drawing. Okay. So let's go back to moving this back, and we'll continue with this. Now again, these lines that I'm working with right now are light enough so that they're easily erased. And where I have a barn door right here, and I got something on the swing, I may open, I think what I'm going to do is, rather than, I want my focal point to be here. This is just a little bit lower than dead center. Here's the center up here, but I want my focal point to be here. So rather than do a closed barn door, what I'm thinking of doing is just making this door open. So I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna make that like we're looking inside the barn. That probably would help a little bit in terms of this stuff, and keeping these windows, those windows. Here's dead center. I don't want my window to be in dead center, so I moved it over to the left a little bit of that center line, and I've got 3 of them here. I don't like them. I'm going to put one up in here, a little bit to the right of center, and we're going to juxtapose one down here, so that they vary. I don't like that routine of the same window going across. So I've got some trees over here, and rather than make them, like I said, rather than make them hit the tangent of the roof, what I'm going to do is just bring them lower. I'm going to take these and make these a little bit lower. This angle comes down a little bit more, but I'll make them a little bit lower. But here again, you don't have to worry too much about that. We'll make one here, and we'll put some over here. Maybe I'll bring one pine area, a little bit taller right there. So I've got this sort of interesting kind of thing that's going like this. And I might even put a tree back there. I'm not too sure yet. Okay, so this comes down, and I have a small, I guess, fence. Yeah, the fence that's coming off this right here, wooden fence that's coming off here. And moving over here, and there's some wood behind it, but not enough for me to even do anything with, so I'm not going to do anything with it at all. Okay, so here's my barn door, and that's where we'll go in, right? So we want to do that, but here's what I don't want to do. I don't want to go in this way. I don't want to come in straight. I'm looking at this stuff over here, and it's pretty straight. I want to move this so that it has a curve to it. So it basically does this. I'm going to come in here and swing my arc around, and I'm going to do the same thing with this. So it looks like it's moving in this direction. It's just doing something like that. That helps ease me into the background, into this area. This is grass over here, and grass over here, and I'm wondering if I should put a little something right here. I might do that. All right, we're playing around with what we can put in here, and Just move this out of the way. So what I'm doing is basically going through the process of searching for ideas as to what I can do to put in there in this barn. You know, maybe we can lay out, here's an idea, let's take a look at maybe some lumber that's leaning up against the barn over here, and perhaps maybe one over here as well. We can probably put in maybe a little small tree right there too. Trying to take it, what I'm doing is I'm sort of bringing it back into this area over here, which is a little bit lower than dead center. And I'm probably leaning to the same thing over here. I want to lean some wood here against this here. Right. In other words, the barn itself can be somewhat boring unless you put all of these little nuances, little chutkas around to make them a little bit more interesting. So what you do is, it's not unheard of, just go back in and take a look at other things that are around. Search out maybe some paintings and see how other people handle it. I see something that maybe I don't know. We'll do something other than that. Maybe that's just enough. Maybe it's just enough to do that with. If I'm going to end up actually if I'm going to look inside the barn, then perhaps maybe I also want to see through the barn, and I want to see maybe some wood structure in here, maybe some beams that are inside the barn here, and maybe we want to see the back side of it, and we'll throw in maybe a window back here. So we're looking inside the barn, and we're seeing we're seeing through the barn to some light back there, so that helps to create a little bit more interest there. And I might also, because I'm building this my way, create maybe some broken slats or I mean that may be a possibility too, so we'll probably play around with that. But essentially, here's my drawing, and maybe I want something in the foreground. I don't know. We'll do something over there to help to bring this in. Maybe not quite. I mean, maybe I'm going to change this a bit. Not quite, so we'll probably do something there. And we could probably even put a silo over here in the back. I guess we could probably do something like. It doesn't have one, but there's no reason why we can't put one in. No, I don't think so. I think maybe we're overdoing that. I'm not sure. Let me get my tape, my eraser here. Need an eraser, so we're just gonna. I think I'm gonna kill that. But these are the things that when you're working something out, you can play around and do some of this stuff. And if I have a person, the person's going to be, these barn doors are pretty high, so maybe the person is going to be this high. Maybe two people. I don't know. But anyway, so we're going into the barn. And what we want to do is we want to end up going to do some barn boarding here. Maybe we want to break it a little bit. Just maybe some areas of this barn that have I'm going to make them vertical instead of horizontal, because there's horizontal siding on this particular thing, but I'm going to make it vertical, and when I do it vertically, maybe I'm going to put in another window over here, and we'll open it up so we're actually seeing inside that, and maybe some of this stuff will be a little bit darker. We'll be seeing through it. Let's just bring up maybe some cat o' nine tails here and there. Just clutter. Barns, you know, clutter around the barn is actually, you don't need to have it pristine. So that's there's my rough sketch, and now we're going to start to build this a little bit more. I think if we want to, we're going to end up doing something like this, because we got this line that's going down here. This is going back in space, and we got shingles that are broken up, roofing shingles over here that are coming down. We're going to make that dark, and we're going to do the same thing over here. The shingles lay flat. Now what I'm doing is I'm working with an HB pencil right now, so I'm going to change this over pretty soon, but I just want to get this roughed in. All right, and I'm looking underneath. I'm looking at underneath the siding going back. And what I'm actually doing is starting to define my areas a little bit more. All right, so we got my little cupola. It's going to have a little shadow underneath. It's going to go back on this side. Now we're sketching this out. This is all going to be darker, I guess, if nothing else. We're going to play around with that. We'll see how we're going to do this. You know, and we'll here's the top of my barn. Now notice what I'm doing is I'm doing the top of the barn, but notice the line. The line is not straight across. The line is moving. Maybe the ridge on this is bending a little bit. You know, it's not quite straight. My edge of the roof as it comes down here, and the same thing with here. These are the end of my roof as it comes down. This is going to be a metal roof. So why would you end up again having something straight? Forget it. It's much more interesting if you give it a little bit of character to it. And you know, if I'm looking straight on, if I'm looking at this straight on, I would be coming down with my metal sheet, sort of something like this, the metal roofing. All right, so you do something sort of like this, and then this is going to do the same thing here. Now again, let's sway this one a little bit more and bring it up. Top of that, and we'll bring this down over here. We're going to make this tree back here pretty dark. So underneath the shingles where they end, make that a little darker there. You have a little ridge under here. Alright, we're going to darken up all of this stuff under there. These are sort of, you know, air vents that you can look at. And you don't, again, you notice what I'm doing is that I'm not doing this thing super accurate. I mean, this is not, all of this, I mean, that doesn't have to be super accurate at all. It's just, you need to give the impression. The whole idea here is, this is a sketch, and we need to give the impression of what's going on over there. The same way with this little piece that's over here, all right? This little rotating, there's a fan that's, or wind turbine that goes inside there, I guess. Not sure exactly what it's called. And again, one of the nice things about this is that it doesn't have to be right on the money. I'm going to just move the inside of this here. Because why? There you go. A little curve coming in like this makes it sit on the roof. And the same way with this, we're going to have, again, metal roof coming down over here. We've got a tree line that's in here, so look at, I just take the broad side of my pencil. I'm going to give it some value. Okay, so, and I'm going to do the same thing with this stuff over here. Broad side of my pencil. Give it some value. This is pasture land back here. So, okay, and if I have a fence over here, then I want to make that fence stand out, and I'm going to make it light against the dark background. So what I'm doing is I'm just sort of linearly sketching in the back area here. And then between the fencing structure, what are we doing? We're just basically doing a silhouette of this stuff here. We'll make that a little darker, make this a little darker here. Let's say my fence ends there, and we're going to just make this so that we can see it a little bit more here. Alright, so we can sort of see our fence. I can see this piece of wood leaning against the side over there. Shadow side. Light's coming from one side, so we have a shadow side. We have, again, a little tree that comes up. We have a wagon wheel. How's that? A wagon wheel that's over here. Just let's do this. Make it light on that side, and we'll just play around with. I mean, I'm not sure this is going to even work out. Probably shouldn't even put it in, but we'll do that. Okay, and window. Now we need to do the, again, underside of my shingles. And under the eave, it's a little bit darker. Again, under the eave, it's a little bit darker. Okay. I still haven't gone to a darker pencil yet. We're going to end up with, let's see, shadow cast on the side of this building. Alright, couple of planks or whatever leaning up against there, and we'll end up with looking inside the barn. So the door, if that's going to be opened, then the door would be, I think I have to move, I don't want to move that over there, so let's make the slider on this side. So we have the ridge of the door, maybe over here, and again, looking at the inside of the barn. Looking at the inside of the barn. It's dark in there. We're going to play around with that. I'm just putting some sort of value in there right now. There are a couple of people over here. I don't know how I want to play around with them. Alright. Okay, so we have a pond's going to be in shadow here. Okay, we're playing around with this. Alright, same thing with over this. We're just going to give it a sketch in it, remember. So darker at the bottom, coming up. We'll do darker at the bottom. Okay. And the same way with this. So I'm going to sort of do it like this with the side of my pencil. I want to create this barn board illusion. That's over here. Alright, so before I do all of the stuff that's going to go on over here, there are areas I need to darken up, and essentially we got a light sky, so we'll give it a little bit of, my roof is going to be white or pretty light, so I want to just give myself a little tone around for my sky. Okay. Alright, so let me get another pencil here. Let me get myself a 2B. Coming in here doing some darker stuff. Now here's the other thing. You can notice that I'm starting to get my graphite on my hands. So let me see if I can get myself something I can put on there. I don't know if this will work. It's a piece of clear acetate. So let's do this. Nice and dark. Or darker, I suppose. Darker. And it's coming off here. We're looking underneath the shingles. Okay. Again, it's a sketch. Try to keep in mind that we're doing a sketch of this. So what happens here is this. You have this coming out like that, because that's the critical that's plays there. Alright, and again, playing a little darker underneath. Okay, don't really want too much in here. That's my hand that's in there, getting that thing, getting that. And I also want to do the same thing with this here. Let me do this. This window is going to fit right in here, and I'm going to end up I'm going to darken this. And why am I darkening that? Why am I doing that? Just breaking it up. Just didn't want that long side to be just that alone. If this is cat o' nine tails, and we want a couple of them, and maybe some foliage in here, and maybe some foliage in here. Okay, let's do some foliage, just linear stuff. There you go. Now I'm going to do something in that I'm going to end up actually making some of this stuff even darker. And I'll go use another pencil. But there's my structure going back. Here's my little 6B pencil. I'm going to do this one. Come in here, and we need the side of that door. It will hang this, and let's just come in and do some ceiling work. This over here. I want this darker in there. Okay, so we're looking inside, and make some people in here, but we'll do that in a minute. Okay, so here's what happens. We got my barn. It's still going to have some, those are a little bit too dark, so I'm going to have to okay. Okay, coming along. Maybe make this a little bit more mid-value here. We want to make this nice and dark up under here. We want to make this nice and dark under here. Okay. We're going to make the windows really dark. Windows really dark. Okay. And I think we're going to do the same thing with this tree back here. It's just to make sure that we got a nice strong dark against light is what it is. I just don't really care. And same thing with something like over here. We're just feathering it in. Okay, so we can see it going back, and if I squint at it, it's just mid value over here, sort of a light value in the sky, darker over here, again darker underneath the fence, so between the fence posts and the rails. Okay. Make something there. We might be able to do this. Let's see if I can do this. Take a little bit of this and take a little bit of light out of here. Just cast shadows. Streaks in the barn. I'm going to turn this because what I want to do is I gave it some shadow, but what I really want to do is I want to give it more of a streaky look. So that the barn board, that this looks more like barn board. Okay, so the barn looks more like a barn. And it's dark over here coming across. Light roof. Throw a little bit of shadow here. Lighten it up. Same way with a little bit of shadow here. Alright, now we have our people, light jacket, make legs here. Just to indicate a couple of people. Like grass, long strokes, same way with this, long strokes from the driveway. leave the driveway on the light side. Okay. Soften this up. All right. And I don't know, maybe we should make a big fence post there. I'm not too sure. Let me look at that. Okay. Let's do this. We're just going to throw a couple of posts in there, and we'll do something to just help us get by that. And down here, okay. I don't know, say something like that. Just give us something to move us into that position over there. Not sure that was a good idea, but we'll... Alright, and then this is all going to be weedy, grassy. Same way with this. And that'll be it. I think probably when I paint this, I'm going to change this around. This is too strong going off in this direction. What I'll probably do is move it to this direction when we do the painting, so we'll change it up a bit, because that should be leading us in. So there's our sketch for the day. And we have basically what we've got here is defined as an area of mid-value right here, mid-value, dark values. I'm going to make this a little bit darker here. Nice dark areas right there. And super dark again, super dark in here. So we're looking inside that barn. Through to the back side. Nice and dark here. And you know what I should have done? I don't know if I can do this right now. Let me see if I can pull that out. But this should have make that light. There you go. how to use my eraser. Same thing, I got this all too dark over here. Yep. And I'm going to make this a little bit lighter here. So this is where the kneaded eraser comes in. Okay, and this is going to be light against dark. That looks to me a little bit better. Get this too dark. All right. And we'll get this post right here lighter. This is what you can do. You don't like what you got something that you can work with. Kneaded eraser to help pull out some of that. And I'm really not, again, I'm not too sure whether or not we've done this before. You know, I don't know. I might have. We got to go take a look. I've done so many of these things. I'm going to just cast this shadow over here. And we're going to end up put something over there. Okay. Okay, so we've got our barn. I think that this is in shadow. I think we're going to end up doing this a little bit more in shadow. That's graphically, that's compositionally a little bit better because it helps to bring this around. See this here? This movement over here, this is dark, this is light, light against dark, light against dark. That's all critical parts of the thing. So I think we're in good shape. I think we're okay. Okay, so that's our sketch. And next week we're going to paint it. This week we're just going to sketch it. And we might throw a couple of other things. I may look around and sort of build this because I might put something else a little bit more interesting in here. But anyway. Okay. There's my sketch. So again, we can use this as a value study. Again, mid-value. Some nice darks, dark, dark, dark. Darks over here. Light value, it's basically a mid to light value painting or sketch. And we'll work all of this stuff out where we'll have nice trees over here. And we'll work from there. Thanks. I think that's it. Have a wonderful day, a wonderful week. And we will see you next week. Thank you. Bye-bye.